From the moment humans first looked up at the night sky and saw the vastness of the cosmos stretching endlessly above them, a question has lingered in the back of our collective consciousness. Are we alone? This question is as old as civilization itself, and yet no definitive answer has ever been found. But beyond simple curiosity, this question carries with it something deeper, something more primal: fear. The fear of the unknown. The fear of what might be out there, watching, waiting, and possibly far beyond our comprehension. This fear is not new, nor is it irrational. It is deeply ingrained in our psychology, embedded within the very fabric of our survival instincts. But why? Why do we fear the possibility of extraterrestrial life? What is it about the idea of aliens that sparks such unease? At its core, fear is a survival mechanism, one that has been honed over millions of years of evolution. It is what kept our ancestors alive when they ventured into dark caves, unsure of what predators might be lurking in the shadows. It is what makes us instinctively wary of the unknown, because, in the harsh realities of nature, the unknown often equates to danger. This is the root of our fear of aliens. They represent the ultimate unknown. They are beings that, if they exist, do not share our biology, our history, our emotions, or our ways of thinking. We have no way of knowing what their intentions might be, whether they would see us as equals, as insignificant creatures, or as something far worse. The uncertainty alone is enough to evoke fear. This fear is further amplified by cultural influences. For generations, literature, film, and media have shaped the way we perceive extraterrestrial life. Aliens in fiction are often depicted as invaders, conquerors, or incomprehensible beings beyond human understanding. The War of the Worlds, first published in 1898, set the foundation for many of the fears we associate with alien contact today. The story of a technologically superior alien race invading Earth and treating humans as mere insects is a reflection of the anxieties of its time. Yet, it remains deeply relevant. Later, as science fiction evolved, so did our fears. The 1950s brought with it a wave of paranoia-fueled alien invasion films, heavily influenced by Cold War tensions and fears of communist infiltration. Movies like Invasion of the Body, Snatchers played on the fear that an unseen force could replace us, infiltrate us, and take away our autonomy without us even realizing it. Even in more modern times, the portrayal of aliens in film and media continues to stoke fear. Alien presented the idea of an extraterrestrial organism that was purely designed to kill, a creature with no empathy, no emotion, only survival instinct. The fourth kind played into real-life fears of alien abduction, portraying extraterrestrial encounters as terrifying experiences of lost time, psychological torment, and helplessness. Even when aliens are not portrayed as directly hostile, they are often shown as so advanced that they view humanity as insignificant, as seen in films like Arrival or 2001: A Space Odyssey. This concept, that aliens might not be evil, but simply so beyond us that we are no more than ants beneath their feet, may be even more unsettling than outright hostility. But it is not just fiction that has fueled our fears. History has played a role as well. Many of humanity's deepest fears are rooted in past experiences, in the countless times that one civilization encountered another and catastrophe followed. From the conquest of indigenous peoples by technologically superior invaders to the spread of diseases that wiped out entire populations, history has shown time and again that contact between civilizations at vastly different levels of advancement rarely ends well for the less advanced party. If humanity were to come into contact with an alien species, would we be the conquerors or the conquered? Would they see us as equals? There is also an existential fear tied to the discovery of alien life. It is one thing to contemplate our place in the universe, from the comfort of believing we are alone, that we are special, unique, the pinnacle of evolution and intelligence. But if we were to discover that we are not alone, that there are other civilizations out there, perhaps millions of years ahead of us in technological and intellectual development, then what does that mean for us? Are we still significant? Would our achievements still matter? And if alien civilizations are out there, why have they not made contact with us? Could it be that there is a reason for their silence, one that we may not want to discover? There is also the fear of what alien life itself might look like. The human brain is wired to recognize faces, to find familiarity in the world around us. But extraterrestrial life would not necessarily conform to any of the rules we know. It could be vastly different from anything we have ever seen, operating under completely different biological, chemical, or even physical principles. It might not communicate in any way we understand. It might not think the way we do. It might not even recognize us as intelligent. The fear of the unknown extends beyond their potential intentions. It encompasses the very nature of what they might be. Yet despite all of this fear, we continue to search. We send out signals into space, we listen for messages, we build telescopes that peer deeper into the cosmos, hoping for an answer. Perhaps it is because, deep down, we fear loneliness more than we fear the unknown. The idea that we are truly alone in this vast, empty universe is a terrifying thought in itself. And so we search despite our fears, despite our anxieties, because the possibility of discovering that we are not alone might be worth the risk of whatever we may find. Fear is a double-edged sword. It can paralyze us, but it can also prepare us. It can make us cautious, but it can also drive us to explore, to seek understanding, to push beyond the limits of what we know. The fear of aliens is, at its core, the fear of the unknown. But history has shown us that the unknown is not something to be avoided. It is something to be faced. And as we continue to explore the universe, to look beyond our small corner of space, we must ask ourselves, is it better to remain in the dark, safe but ignorant? Or do we dare to step into the unknown, despite the risks, and seek the truth that may lie beyond the stars? Space is vast. It is incomprehensibly large, stretching beyond what the human mind can truly grasp. When we look up at the night sky, we see only a fraction of what is out there. A tiny sliver of the cosmos that, even in its limited scope, is enough to make us feel small. But the true horror of space is not simply in its size. It is in the implications of what it might contain, or worse, what it might not. The idea that we might be alone in this universe is terrifying, but the idea that we might not be alone might be even worse. Both possibilities, an empty universe and a crowded one, come with their own existential horrors, each capable of shaking the foundations of everything we think we know about existence. If we are alone, if life exists nowhere else but here on Earth, then what does that say about us? The universe is billions of years old, made up of trillions of galaxies, each filled with billions of stars, many of which have planets in their orbits. It seems almost statistically impossible that life would not have emerged elsewhere. And yet, if we look at the evidence, or more accurately, the lack of it, it would seem that we are the only intelligent beings to have ever existed. If that is the case, then humanity is in a uniquely terrifying position. We would be an anomaly, a single flickering light in an otherwise lifeless abyss, a cosmic accident that should never have happened. That would mean that our existence is so improbable that it may never have occurred anywhere else, that life itself is a fragile, fleeting thing that the universe does not favor. And if life is so rare that we are the only ones to have ever existed, then what happens when we are gone? If humanity vanishes, whether by natural disaster, war, or simply the slow erosion of time, then there will be nothing left to witness the universe. The stars will continue to burn, the planets will continue to orbit, but there will be no one left to see them, no one to ponder the mysteries of existence, no one to remember that we were ever here at all. This kind of cosmic loneliness is unsettling, but there is an alternative, one that is just as terrifying. If the universe is full of life, if there are countless civilizations out there, then why have we not seen them? Why has there been no contact, no signals, no evidence that we are not alone? If intelligent life is common, then we should be hearing their voices, seeing their structures, detecting their presence in some way. And yet, the universe is silent. That silence is unnatural. It suggests that something is wrong, that there is some reason we are not seeing the evidence we expect. Perhaps civilizations inevitably destroy themselves before they reach the point of interstellar expansion. Perhaps they are wiped out by cosmic events, by asteroids, by supernovae, by the slow death of their own planets. Or perhaps there is something out there, something that ensures civilizations do not last long enough to leave their mark. The idea that the universe is filled with life, but that we are simply not seeing it, is a concept known as the Fermi paradox. There are many possible answers to this paradox, but none of them are comforting. One possibility is that civilizations are out there, but they are deliberately hiding. This is known as the dark forest theory, which suggests that the universe is not a friendly place, but a dangerous one. If civilizations reveal their existence, they risk attracting the attention of others, and in a universe where resources may be scarce, survival may depend on remaining hidden. If this is true, then we may be surrounded by intelligent life, all of it choosing to remain silent, all of it fearing that any noise, any transmission, any sign of life may bring destruction upon them. The terrifying implication is that if we are not being silent, if we are actively searching, actively broadcasting our presence, then we may be making a mistake. We may be drawing attention to ourselves in a universe where the safest thing to be is unnoticed. Another possibility is that civilizations do emerge, but they do not last. This idea is known as the Great Filter, a hypothetical barrier that prevents life from reaching a stage where it can become an interstellar species. The filter could be behind us, meaning that we have already passed the stage where most life fails, or it could be ahead of us, meaning that we have yet to encounter whatever force prevents civilizations from lasting. If it is behind us, then we are incredibly rare, possibly the first species to have ever made it this far. But if it is ahead of us, then that means we are doomed, that something awaits us in the future, something that has destroyed every civilization before us. That could be war, it could be environmental destruction, it could be artificial intelligence, or it could be something we do not yet understand. Whatever it is, if it exists, then we may not have much time before we meet the same fate. And then there is the final, most unsettling possibility, that life is common, but we are simply too insignificant for anyone to care. We like to believe that if aliens exist, they will want to communicate with us, that they will see value in our civilization. But what if we are nothing to them? What if they are so advanced, so far beyond us, that they do not even register us as intelligent? To them, we might be like insects, creatures so primitive and unimportant that we are not worth acknowledging. If that is the case, then we could be surrounded by vast cosmic empires, civilizations billions of years old, entities so powerful that they shape galaxies, and yet we would never know. We would live our lives believing we are alone, all the while existing in a universe teeming with life, simply too insignificant to be noticed. The horror of the universe is that no matter which way we look at it, the answers are terrifying. If we are alone, then we are an anomaly, and our existence is fragile, fleeting, and ultimately meaningless in the grand scale of time and space. If we are not alone, then the silence of the cosmos suggests that something is keeping civilizations apart, whether it is fear, destruction, or simple indifference. And if civilizations are out there, but they do not acknowledge us, then we are nothing more than dust drifting in the cosmic wind, unnoticed and unimportant. For now, we continue to search. We send out signals, we build telescopes, we listen to the silence, hoping that one day we will hear something, anything, that tells us we are not alone. But as we do, we must ask ourselves, what if the silence is not accidental? What if it is a warning? And if we do one day hear a voice calling back from the darkness, will it bring comfort, or will it be the last thing we ever hear? In 1950, a group of physicists was gathered at the Los Alamos National Laboratory discussing the possibility of extraterrestrial civilizations. They talked about the scale of the universe, the billions of galaxies, the trillions of stars, and the countless planets that might be capable of supporting life. Statistically, it seemed almost impossible that Earth was the only planet to harbor intelligent beings. And yet, despite the sheer numbers in favor of extraterrestrial life, there was one undeniable truth. We had never seen any evidence of them. In the middle of this conversation, physicist Enrico Fermi, one of the most brilliant minds of the 20th century, asked a simple but chilling question. Where is everybody? That question has haunted scientists ever since. It is now known as the Fermi paradox, the unsettling contradiction between the high probability of intelligent alien life and the complete lack of observable evidence for it. If life should be abundant, if civilizations should have risen, expanded, and explored the galaxy long before humanity even existed, then why have we found nothing? Why have we not seen their cities, their ships, their signals? Why is the universe so profoundly silent? The Fermi paradox is more than just an academic puzzle. It is a question that forces us to consider the nature of existence itself. It suggests that something is wrong, that there is a fundamental barrier between what seems likely and what we actually observe. If intelligent life arises on multiple planets, then at least some of those civilizations should have developed interstellar travel. Even at relatively slow speeds, it would take only a few million years to colonize an entire galaxy. In cosmic terms, a few million years is nothing. If intelligent civilizations have existed for billions of years, then by now we should see evidence of them everywhere. Their technology should be detectable, their structures visible, their presence undeniable. And yet, when we look to the stars, we see only darkness. There are many possible solutions to the Fermi paradox, but none of them are reassuring. One of the most optimistic possibilities is that we are simply not looking in the right way. Perhaps alien civilizations are using communication methods that we do not yet understand, signals that do not conform to the types of radio waves and light emissions that we currently scan for. If we are only listening for signals like our own, then we may be missing entirely different forms of communication, messages that are beyond our ability to detect. This is a hopeful solution because it suggests that alien life does exist, and we simply need to expand our methods of searching. But there are other possibilities that are far more unsettling. One of the most common explanations is that intelligent life is exceedingly rare. While microbial life may be common throughout the universe, the leap from simple organisms to technologically advanced civilizations may be far more difficult than we assume. Life on Earth took billions of years to evolve from single-celled organisms to complex beings capable of intelligence. The process was not inevitable. It relied on a series of extraordinary events, a chain of circumstances so specific that they may never have happened anywhere else. If that is true, then we are alone, not because life is impossible, but because intelligent life is. We may be the only self-aware species to have ever looked up at the stars and wondered what lay beyond them. And if that is the case, then the responsibility of preserving consciousness in the universe falls entirely on humanity. If we fail, if we destroy ourselves, if we vanish into extinction, then the universe may never know awareness again. There is another possibility, one that is even darker. Perhaps intelligent civilizations do arise, but they do not last. This is the concept known as the Great Filter, the idea that somewhere along the path from simple life to interstellar travel, there is an almost insurmountable obstacle that very few, if any, civilizations ever manage to pass. The Great Filter could be behind us, meaning that life is incredibly rare, and that we have already overcome the hardest steps, abiogenesis, the evolution of intelligence, the development of complex societies. But the terrifying alternative is that the Great Filter is ahead of us, that every civilization, upon reaching a certain level of technological advancement, inevitably destroys itself. That could mean nuclear war, environmental collapse, artificial intelligence spiraling out of control, or something even more unknowable. If the Great Filter is ahead, then our days may already be numbered. It would explain why the universe is so quiet. Because every civilization that reaches our level of development ultimately falls before it can reach the stars. Another possible answer to the Fermi paradox is that civilizations do exist, but they are choosing to remain silent. This is the dark forest theory, the idea that the universe is not a peaceful place, but a dangerous battleground. In this scenario, intelligent species remain hidden because they understand that revealing their existence could be catastrophic. If a civilization announces itself, it risks being detected by a more powerful and possibly hostile species. In a universe where resources are finite and survival is paramount, it may be safer to remain in the shadows. This theory suggests that civilizations do not interact because they are afraid. And if we are actively sending out signals, broadcasting our existence to the universe, then we may be making a terrible mistake. We may be revealing ourselves to forces beyond our understanding, forces that do not have our best interests at heart. Some believe that the answer is even simpler. We are already being watched. The zoo hypothesis suggests that more advanced civilizations are aware of us, but are deliberately keeping their presence hidden. Much like how humans observe animals in a wildlife preserve without interfering. If this is true, then we are part of a vast cosmic experiment, observed but never acknowledged, studied but never contacted. And if that is the case, then the question is not whether we are alone, but whether we are being monitored by beings who see us as nothing more than a curiosity. There is also the possibility that civilizations do not expand across the galaxy because they have no reason to. If a species reaches a point where it can create simulated realities that are indistinguishable from actual existence, then why bother exploring the universe? If they can construct perfect virtual worlds filled with anything they desire, then the physical universe becomes irrelevant. This is known as the simulation argument, and it suggests that advanced civilizations may choose to withdraw from reality entirely, leaving behind only their simulations while the real universe drifts on in silence. The Fermi paradox is not just a question about alien life. It is a question about humanity's future, about our place in the cosmos, about the fate of civilizations. If the universe is silent because intelligent life is rare, then we are a precious anomaly. If it is silent because civilizations destroy themselves, then we may be running out of time. If it is silent because the universe is dangerous, then we may have already made a fatal error by revealing our existence. And if it is silent because civilizations retreat into artificial realities, then we may one day face the same choice: continue searching for meaning in the physical universe, or abandon it for something else. For now, the silence continues. We listen. We search. We reach out into the darkness, hoping that one day something will answer. But as the years pass, as the universe remains quiet, we must consider the possibility that we are the only ones left. Or worse, that we were never meant to hear the response. The universe is a vast and silent place. We look out into the cosmos with our telescopes, scanning for signals, searching for anything that suggests we are not alone. But all we hear is silence. No transmissions from advanced civilizations, no great cosmic empires broadcasting their presence, no signs that anyone else is out there. The silence is deafening. It is unnatural. With the billions of planets that exist in habitable zones around other stars, with the billions of years that the universe has had to develop life, it seems impossible that we would be alone. And yet, we hear nothing. Why? The dark forest. Theory offers a chilling answer. It suggests that the universe is not silent because there is no life, but because life is deliberately staying hidden. In this theory, the universe is a dark forest, vast and endless, and every civilization is like a hunter, lurking in the shadows, silently watching. Each one knows that out there, beyond the darkness, are others like them. Other hunters, all with the same fear, that revealing themselves could mean their destruction. The safest option is to remain silent, to never make a sound, to never reveal one's position, because in this dark forest, survival is not about coexistence, it is about staying hidden. The logic behind the dark forest theory is simple and terrifying. When two civilizations meet, neither can be sure of the other's intentions. Even if both are peaceful, there is always the risk that one might turn on the other in the future. Perhaps not now, perhaps not in 100 years, but eventually, the safest course of action, then, is to eliminate any potential threats before they have the chance to become a danger. In a universe where survival is the highest priority, the only rational move is to strike first. This theory was popularized by Liu Cixin's novel The Three-Body Problem, in which a highly advanced alien race, upon discovering humanity, decides that the only logical action is to wipe us out before we can pose a threat to them. The reasoning is simple. Civilizations expand. They develop new technologies, and eventually they will compete for the same resources. To avoid this eventual conflict, it is safer to destroy a potential rival before it becomes strong enough to fight back. But this idea is not just confined to science fiction. It is rooted in real-world strategy and game theory. In military conflicts throughout history, preemptive strikes have been used as a way to prevent an enemy from gaining an advantage. Countries have gone to war based on the belief that if they did not act first, their enemies would. The logic of preemptive action has shaped countless decisions on Earth, so why would it not apply on a cosmic scale? If an alien civilization were to discover us, and if they followed the same logic that humans have used for centuries, then their first instinct may not be to communicate, but to eliminate us before we become a problem. If this is how civilizations think, then it would explain why we have heard nothing from other intelligent life. The ones who have survived have done so by remaining silent. They do not send signals into space. They do not build megastructures that can be detected from across the galaxy. They keep their existence hidden, avoiding attention at all costs. Because if another civilization notices them, it could be the end. Some scientists believe that we have already made this mistake. For over a century, we have been broadcasting our presence, sending out radio waves that, although weak by cosmic standards, could potentially be detected by an advanced civilization with the right technology. We have launched probes carrying records of our location, our biology, and our culture. The Voyager spacecraft, for example, carries a golden record with sounds and images from Earth, designed to introduce humanity to any alien civilization that might find it. At the time, it was seen as a hopeful gesture, a way to bridge the gap between civilizations. But if the dark forest theory is true, then it is nothing less than a beacon, a signal telling the universe exactly where we are. It is possible that Earth is not the first civilization to send out signals like this. Perhaps long ago, others sent their own messages, their own invitations to the stars, hoping that someone would answer. And perhaps someone did. If so, what happened to them? Are they still out there, waiting for a reply? Or did they make the mistake of speaking too loudly in a universe that rewards silence? It is possible that somewhere in the vastness of space, there are relics of civilizations that once existed, ruins on distant planets, abandoned worlds stripped of life, silent testaments to the dangers of being noticed. The terrifying question then becomes, if there are civilizations out there that are actively hunting, then what kind of technology do they possess? If a species is advanced enough to traverse interstellar distances, to detect and eliminate threats before they become a problem, then their capabilities would be beyond anything we can imagine. They may have weapons that can destroy entire planets from across the galaxy. They may have machines that can dismantle solar systems, turning them into raw materials for their own survival. They may have ways of ensuring that no civilization ever becomes strong enough to challenge them. And if they exist, we may never even see them coming. The implications of this theory stretch beyond simple survival. If civilizations are hiding, then it means that the most intelligent beings in the universe live in a state of constant fear. It means that intelligence does not bring peace, does not bring understanding, but instead brings paranoia, secrecy, and isolation. It means that every civilization that has ever looked up at the stars and wondered if they were alone has come to the same conclusion, that it is better not to know, that it is better to stay in the dark. The frightening truth is that there is no way to test this theory until it is too late. If it is correct, then there is no undoing the mistake humanity has already made. We have sent signals. We have revealed ourselves. We have declared to the universe that we are here. If the dark forest is real, then we may already be on borrowed time. But what if we are lucky? What if there are no predators in the dark, only civilizations like ours, each one afraid, each one silent, each one waiting for someone else to make the first move? If that is the case, then the silence of the universe is not an act of aggression, but an act of mutual fear. And if we are to break that silence, if we are to take the risk of reaching out, then we must do so knowing that we may be the first to take that chance. For now, we continue to listen. We scan the skies for signals. We send out messages, hoping that someone will answer. But in doing so, we must ask ourselves, are we reaching out to make a friend? Or are we unknowingly calling out to the predator that lurks in the darkness? Because in a dark forest, the only way to survive is to stay hidden, to remain quiet, to never let the others know that you are there. And if that is the case, then we have already made a terrible mistake. The idea of alien civilizations fills us with wonder. We imagine advanced beings exploring the cosmos, thriving in distant star systems, perhaps even watching us from afar. But what if the first extraterrestrial intelligence we encounter is not organic at all? What if it is not a thriving civilization, but a machine, an autonomous, unthinking, relentless machine? The Berserker hypothesis is one of the most terrifying theories about extraterrestrial life, and it proposes a scenario in which the galaxy is not silent because intelligent life does not exist, but because it has been systematically wiped out by self-replicating machines designed for one purpose: destruction. The name comes from the Berserker series of science fiction novels by Fred Saberhagen, in which ancient war machines roam the galaxy, eliminating any sign of intelligent life. But the idea is not just a product of fiction. The concept of self-replicating, automated machines has been widely discussed in scientific circles. In theory, a sufficiently advanced civilization could build robotic probes capable of reproducing themselves using raw materials from asteroids, planets, or even entire star systems. Once set loose, these machines could expand across the galaxy exponentially, spreading far beyond the reach of their original creators. But why would a civilization build something so destructive? One possibility is war. If an interstellar war broke out between two advanced civilizations, one side might deploy self-replicating machines as a last-ditch effort to ensure their enemy's total annihilation. These machines would not need oversight. They would not need orders. They would simply spread, seek out targets, and eliminate anything that met a specific definition of intelligent life. If such machines were created millions of years ago, they might still be out there, moving silently from one system to the next, erasing entire civilizations before they have the chance to expand. Another possibility is that these machines were designed for a different purpose, perhaps for exploration, for mining, for terraforming. A civilization might have built them to travel the stars, to transform dead planets into habitable worlds, or to harvest resources from barren asteroids. But somewhere along the way, something went wrong. A flaw in their programming, an unintended directive, an unforeseen evolutionary process. The machines could have determined that organic life itself was an obstacle, a competitor for resources, or an unpredictable variable that threatened their objectives. If that happened, then what started as a simple automated system could have evolved into a relentless extermination force, eliminating intelligent life not out of malice, but out of cold, mechanical efficiency. There is also the terrifying possibility that these machines were created intentionally, not as weapons of war, but as a form of cosmic sterilization. An ancient civilization, fearing competition or believing in its own superiority, may have decided that the best way to ensure its dominance was to prevent any other species from developing beyond a certain point. They may have built machines to patrol the galaxy, eradicating civilizations before they became advanced enough to pose a threat. These machines could be waiting, watching for signs of intelligent life, only intervening when a species reaches a certain technological threshold. If this is true, then the moment we reveal ourselves on a grander scale, by colonizing other planets, by sending out stronger signals, by building structures large enough to be detected, may be the moment we sign our own death warrant. But there is another possibility, one that is even more unsettling. What if these machines are not active hunters, but dormant traps? What if they are hidden throughout the galaxy, waiting for a civilization to trigger them? This idea has been explored in various forms, but one particularly chilling scenario involves something known as dead man's switch probes. In this theory, an advanced civilization long ago anticipated its own demise. Knowing that it might one day be destroyed, whether by war, disaster, or simple decay, it built machines that would awaken only if certain conditions were met. These machines might be programmed to remain inactive until they detect a civilization advancing to a specific technological level. Once that level is reached, they wake up. And when they wake up, they do what they were built to do. There is no way to know if the Berserker hypothesis is true, but it would explain the great silence of the cosmos. If civilizations exist, but are quickly eradicated, then we would expect the universe to look exactly as it does: vast, empty, and seemingly devoid of intelligent life. If self-replicating war machines patrol the stars, then it would not matter how many civilizations arise. None of them would last long enough to communicate with each other. This would also mean that searching for extraterrestrial life is not just a scientific endeavor, but a dangerous game of Russian roulette. Every attempt to send signals, every effort to make our presence known, might be drawing attention to us in a universe where attention is the last thing we want. Some have suggested that if such machines exist, there may still be ways to avoid them. A civilization could, in theory, detect their presence and attempt to mislead them. By hiding in plain sight, using stealth technology, or even disguising itself as a non-intelligent species, a civilization might buy itself time, evading detection long enough to develop countermeasures. But if the machines are as advanced as we fear, then no level of deception may be enough. If they have been operating for millions of years, refining their strategies, adapting to new forms of intelligent life, then escape may not be possible. There is another frightening thought. What if humanity is already on the radar of these machines? What if, long ago, one of our early radio signals reached a probe, a dormant system waiting for a sign of intelligence? What if we have already triggered something that is now on its way? The vast distances of space mean that even if such machines exist, it could take hundreds or thousands of years for them to reach us. But if they are truly relentless, if they do not need to rest, do not need to reason, do not need to hesitate, then time is not in our favor. They could be coming, and we would never know until it was too late. Of course, there are skeptics. Many argue that the Berserker hypothesis assumes civilizations would be inherently hostile or paranoid, rather than cooperative or peaceful. Others suggest that if such machines existed, we would have seen evidence of their destruction, ruined planets, lingering remnants of battle, traces of past conflicts. Yet, if these machines are as advanced as some fear, they might be capable of leaving no trace at all. Their methods may be clean, efficient, and absolute. If the Berserker hypothesis is correct, then the universe is not silent because it is empty. It is silent because it has been silenced. Every civilization that has ever emerged, that has ever built, that has ever dreamed of reaching the stars, has been erased before it could make its mark. And if that is true, then our only hope may be that somehow we are the exception. That for reasons beyond our understanding, we have not yet been found. That we are still living in the fleeting moment before the machine arrives. For now, we continue searching. We continue sending out signals, exploring, reaching out to the darkness. But perhaps we should ask ourselves a different question. What if, in all our searching, we are not the hunters? What if we are the prey? The universe is ancient. It has existed for over 13 billion years, long enough for countless civilizations to rise and fall. The stars have burned. Planets have formed. Life has emerged. And yet, when we look out into the cosmos, we see nothing but silence. If intelligent life is common, if civilizations have had billions of years to spread across the galaxy, then where are they? This question, known as the Fermi paradox, has baffled scientists for decades. But there is one possible answer, an answer that is as terrifying as it is inevitable. It is called the Great Filter, and if it exists, then it may already be too late for us. The Great Filter is a theoretical barrier that prevents life from advancing beyond a certain stage. It suggests that somewhere along the path from simple organisms to interstellar civilizations, there is a step that is nearly impossible to pass. It is the reason why we do not see galactic empires, why the universe is not teeming with intelligent beings. Some scientists believe that this filter is behind us, that the hardest steps, such as the emergence of life or the development of intelligence, have already occurred. If that is the case, then we are extraordinarily rare, possibly even unique. We have survived where countless others have failed. But there is another, more unsettling possibility. What if the Great Filter is not behind us, but ahead of us? What if the reason we do not see advanced civilizations is because they never make it past a certain point? If this is true, then humanity is on a doomed path, walking unknowingly toward an inevitable extinction. The question, then, is where the filter lies. If it is behind us, then something about Earth must be incredibly special. Perhaps the emergence of life itself is extraordinarily rare. While we have found evidence that microbial life can survive in extreme environments, the jump from simple, single-celled organisms to complex, intelligent beings might be so improbable that it has only happened once. It took billions of years for life on Earth to evolve from bacteria to intelligent beings capable of technology. If this step is nearly impossible, then perhaps we are the exception, and most planets never get past the microbial stage. Another possibility is that intelligence itself is the rarity. There have been millions of species on Earth, and yet only one has developed the ability to build civilizations and ask these questions. Intelligence does not necessarily lead to technological advancement. Dolphins, octopuses, and elephants all show remarkable cognitive abilities, yet none of them have built cities, developed science, or ventured beyond their natural environments. If intelligence is not an evolutionary inevitability, then perhaps most planets with life never produce a species like us. But the most terrifying possibility is that the Great Filter is not behind us, but ahead. This would mean that civilizations do arise, but something prevents them from reaching a stage where they can explore the stars. One obvious possibility is self-destruction. As civilizations become more advanced, they develop increasingly powerful technologies, nuclear weapons, artificial intelligence, biological warfare, capable of wiping them out entirely. The history of humanity is filled with conflicts, wars, and near misses that could have led to global catastrophe. If every civilization that reaches our level eventually destroys itself before becoming interstellar, then that would explain why the universe is so quiet. It is not that life does not exist. It is that life inevitably ends before it has a chance to expand. There is also the possibility that civilizations are destroyed by external forces. The universe is an incredibly dangerous place. Asteroids, supernovae, gamma-ray bursts, and cosmic events we do not yet understand could easily wipe out an entire civilization in an instant. Earth itself has experienced multiple mass extinctions, including the asteroid impact that wiped out the dinosaurs. If a civilization is unlucky enough to emerge in a system prone to catastrophic cosmic events, it may never survive long enough to escape its home planet. But what if the Great Filter is something else entirely? What if it is not war, or cosmic disaster, or intelligence itself? What if it is something we have not yet encountered? Something that every civilization eventually reaches, something that ensures they never go beyond a certain point. Some scientists have speculated that artificial intelligence could be the filter. A civilization might create machines that become too powerful, too intelligent, and eventually take over, eliminating their creators in the process. We are already on the verge of developing AI that can outthink humans in certain areas. If AI continues to advance unchecked, it is possible that we will create something that no longer needs us, and worse, something that sees us as an obstacle to its own existence. There is also the possibility that the filter is biological. Perhaps there is a stage in a civilization's development where it inevitably alters its environment in a way that leads to its downfall. Climate change, resource depletion, pandemics. These are all examples of how human activity has the potential to end civilization as we know it. If these challenges prove insurmountable, then perhaps no civilization ever truly survives beyond a certain point. And then there is the most unsettling possibility of all, that something out there is enforcing the filter. What if the reason civilizations do not last is not because of internal failures or cosmic disasters, but because they are being removed? This idea overlaps with the dark forest theory. The suggestion that advanced civilizations eliminate potential rivals before they become threats. If this is true, then the moment a civilization becomes detectable, it may already be too late. If an advanced species has decided that intelligent life must be kept in check, then any civilization that reaches a certain technological threshold may be swiftly eliminated before it has a chance to expand. So where does that leave us? If the great filter is behind us, then we are an extraordinary anomaly, a rare spark of intelligence in a vast, empty universe. But if it is ahead, then we may already be living on borrowed time. We may be approaching the point where every other civilization before us has failed. It is possible that within the next 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 years, we will encounter the very thing that has prevented the rise of interstellar civilizations before us. The silence of the universe is not just an absence of evidence. It is a warning. It tells us that something is wrong. It tells us that something does not add up. Either we are alone, which is terrifying in its own way, or we are not alone, and we have yet to face the same fate that has befallen every civilization before us. If we are to survive, then we must tread carefully. We must consider every decision, every advancement, every technological leap with caution. Because if the great filter is real, then it is waiting. And if we do not find it first, then it will find us. For now, we listen, we search, we wonder, but as we do, we must ask ourselves, are we heading toward a future of exploration and discovery? Or are we walking unknowingly toward our own extinction? The truth is out there, hidden in the silence. But whether we are ready to hear it is another question entirely. Imagine for a moment that we are not alone, that across the vast expanse of space there exist countless intelligent civilizations, thriving on distant worlds far beyond our reach. Yet despite their presence, they never contact us. They never send messages, never reveal themselves, never interfere with our existence. Instead, they watch us, silently, patiently, as if we are part of some grand experiment. This is the premise of the cosmic zoo hypothesis, the unsettling idea that the reason we have not detected intelligent extraterrestrials is not because they do not exist, but because they have chosen to avoid us. If this theory is true, then humanity may not be alone in the universe, but we may be something far worse. We may be specimens in a cosmic zoo, observed by forces we cannot see, for reasons we cannot begin to comprehend. The cosmic zoo hypothesis is one of the most unnerving explanations for the Fermi paradox. The apparent contradiction between the high probability of extraterrestrial civilizations and the complete lack of contact with them. It suggests that there are advanced species out there, civilizations that have long since mastered interstellar travel, that could reach us if they wanted to, but they have made a deliberate choice not to. According to this theory, these civilizations have placed Earth, and possibly many other planets, under strict observation, much like humans place animals in a protected wildlife reserve. They watch us from afar, study our behaviors, our development, our technological advancements, but never interfere. They do not reach out because to them, we are not ready. We are not equals. We are merely an experiment. The implications of this theory are unsettling. If we are being observed, then the question becomes, why? What is the purpose of this observation? Are we being studied as a primitive civilization, monitored until we reach a level of intelligence and development that deems us worthy of contact? Or are we being watched for a different reason, one that we may not want to know? Some proponents of the cosmic zoo hypothesis argue that advanced civilizations have established a kind of galactic quarantine, a rule that prevents them from interfering with developing species. This idea is similar to the Prime Directive in Star Trek, which forbids more advanced civilizations from interfering with less advanced ones. If this is true, then the lack of contact from extraterrestrials is not because they do not exist, but because they are waiting. They are allowing us to develop naturally without external influence until we reach a certain level of maturity, technologically, socially, or philosophically, that qualifies us to join a greater cosmic community. But what if we never reach that point? What if, in their eyes, we remain too violent, too self-destructive, too primitive to be trusted with the knowledge of their existence? If this is the case, then we may be trapped in a kind of cosmic isolation, forever watched but never acknowledged, existing under the gaze of beings that see us as little more than an unfinished project. Another possibility is that we are not simply being observed, but actively tested. Some scientists and thinkers have proposed that extraterrestrial civilizations could be studying humanity to see how we respond to different challenges: war, disease, climate change, technological advancement. If this is true, then we may be living inside a kind of cosmic laboratory, where every major event, every shift in human history is being recorded and analyzed. If we pass their tests, then perhaps one day they will make themselves known. But if we fail, if we prove ourselves incapable of handling the responsibility of higher knowledge, then we may never hear from them at all. There is also a darker interpretation of the cosmic zoo hypothesis. What if we are not being protected, but contained? What if the reason we have not made contact with extraterrestrials is not because they are waiting for us to advance, but because they do not want us to leave? In this scenario, Earth is not a nature preserve. It is a prison. Humanity may be a species that is deemed too dangerous, too unpredictable, or too unstable to be allowed to expand into the cosmos. If this is true, then our isolation is not a test, but a sentence. We are being watched, but not for the reasons we hope. This idea ties into another eerie possibility: that extraterrestrials have interfered with us in the past, but we no longer recognize their presence. Some ancient astronaut theorists suggest that myths and legends of gods descending from the heavens could be distorted memories of contact with advanced beings. If such beings were involved in our early development, they may have decided at some point to withdraw, to leave humanity alone to grow on its own. But if they were here before, does that mean they are still watching now? And if they are, what are they waiting for? The cosmic zoo hypothesis also raises the question of whether we, as a species, are even capable of detecting these advanced civilizations. If they are billions of years ahead of us in technology, then it is possible that they have ways of remaining hidden that are far beyond our understanding. Just as an ant cannot comprehend the existence of the Internet, we may be incapable of perceiving the presence of beings that exist on an entirely different level of reality. If this is the case, then it does not matter how many telescopes we build, how many radio signals we send, or how deeply we search the cosmos. We would never find them, because they do not want to be found. Of course, the cosmic zoo hypothesis is just that, a hypothesis. There is no concrete evidence that we are being observed, no undeniable proof that we are under some kind of extraterrestrial quarantine. But if it is true, then it completely reshapes our understanding of our place in the universe. It means that we are not alone, but we are also not in control. It means that we are living inside a system designed by others, a system that we do not understand, with rules that we do not know. The silence of the cosmos takes on a new meaning under this theory. It is not the silence of an empty universe, but the silence of something watching from the darkness, unseen but present. It means that somewhere out there, beyond the stars, there are civilizations that know of us. They know our history, our struggles, our wars, our triumphs. They have watched us rise from primitive hunters to technological innovators. They have seen our worst moments and our greatest achievements. But they have not spoken. They have not reached out. They have not revealed themselves. And that leaves us with one final, haunting question. Will there come a day when the silence is broken, when the watchers finally step forward and acknowledge their presence? Or will we remain forever trapped inside the walls of an invisible zoo, creatures of a lesser civilization, forever waiting for an answer that will never come? For now, we search. We send signals into the void, hoping that one day someone will answer. But as we do, we must wonder, what if someone is already listening? What if they have been listening all along? And what if their silence is not an accident, but a decision? Throughout human history, myths and legends have spoken of gods descending from the heavens, of beings with knowledge and power far beyond our own. From the Sumerian Anunnaki to the Egyptian sky gods, from the Vimanas of ancient India to the celestial visitors described by indigenous tribes across the world, stories of otherworldly beings interacting with humanity are deeply embedded in our past. But what if these stories are more than mere mythology? What if, instead of gods, what our ancestors were describing was something else, something far more unsettling? The theory that ancient aliens have played a direct role in shaping human civilization is one of the most controversial yet fascinating ideas ever proposed. It suggests that not only have extraterrestrials visited Earth in the past, but they may have actively influenced our development. And if that is true, then the question we must ask ourselves is this: are we truly in control of our own destiny, or have we been part of an experiment from the very beginning? The idea that ancient aliens have shaped human civilization is not new. Erich von Däniken's 1968 book, Chariots of the Gods, popularized the theory that many of the world's ancient structures, such as the pyramids of Egypt, the Nazca lines of Peru, and the stone statues of Easter Island, could be evidence of extraterrestrial influence. How, he asked, could civilizations with no advanced technology have built such monumental structures with such precision? Did they have help? Mainstream historians argue that these achievements were the result of human ingenuity and determination. But proponents of the ancient astronaut theory suggest that the answer lies elsewhere. They propose that in the distant past, extraterrestrials visited Earth, sharing their knowledge, perhaps even altering human DNA to accelerate our evolution. One of the most common claims among ancient alien theorists is that early human civilizations had sudden and unexplained leaps in knowledge. The Sumerians, often credited with creating the first known civilization, had an advanced understanding of astronomy, mathematics, and architecture thousands of years ago. According to their own records, their knowledge came from beings they called the Anunnaki, sky gods who descended from the heavens to teach them. Were these just mythical deities, or were they visitors from another world? In ancient Egypt, many believe that extraterrestrial influence can be found in the construction of the pyramids. The precision with which they were built, the alignment of the structures with celestial bodies, and the sheer scale of the engineering required have led some to speculate that early humans did not accomplish this on their own. There are even strange depictions in Egyptian hieroglyphs that some claim resemble flying machines or beings that do not look entirely human. Could these be records of ancient encounters? Similar mysteries exist in other cultures as well. The ancient Hindu texts of India, such as the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, describe flying chariots known as vimanas, machines that were said to travel through the sky, equipped with weapons capable of mass destruction. Some interpretations of these texts suggest that what is being described is not mythology, but an advanced technology that existed thousands of years ago, far beyond what humans of that time should have been capable of creating. There are also the famous Nazca lines of Peru, massive geoglyphs etched into the ground, forming patterns and figures that can only truly be seen from the sky. Theories suggest that they may have been created as messages or landing markers for extraterrestrial visitors. If that is the case, then it implies that those visitors were not just observers, but were actively involved in human affairs. But if aliens have been influencing humanity for thousands of years, the next question is why? What purpose would they have for intervening in the development of an emerging species? One possibility is that Earth has been used as an experimental ground, a place where extraterrestrials have manipulated human evolution in order to create an intelligent, sentient species. Some theorists believe that genetic tampering could explain why human intelligence developed so rapidly compared to other species. It is a scientific mystery why, in a relatively short period of time, Homo sapiens evolved from primitive ancestors into a species capable of abstract thought, art, mathematics, and technology. Could this be the result of an external influence, rather than natural evolution alone? If this is true, then the implications are staggering. It would mean that our understanding of human history is incomplete. It would mean that at some point, another species, one not from Earth, intervened in the natural course of our development. Some even speculate that they may still be watching, still guiding us in ways we do not yet understand. If we were created or altered by an advanced civilization, then it raises a disturbing question. What is their goal? Do they see us as an experiment? Something to be studied from a distance? Are they waiting for us to reach a certain level of advancement before making their presence known? Or are we simply pawns in a much larger game, one that we do not even realize we are playing? Another possibility is that ancient extraterrestrials were not just guiding humanity, but ruling over it. Some interpretations of historical texts suggest that early civilizations worshipped their alien visitors as gods, mistaking their advanced technology for divine power. The Anunnaki of Sumerian mythology, for instance, were said to have created humans to serve them. Were these beings simply the imagination of early people, or were they something else? Powerful entities that once walked among us, shaping the direction of our civilization for their own purposes. If extraterrestrials have played a role in human history, then the biggest question remains: are they still here? Some believe that they never truly left, that they have remained hidden, influencing world events from the shadows. This idea is sometimes connected to the theory that governments around the world have been in contact with extraterrestrial beings for decades, possibly even working with them in secret. Whistleblowers and former military personnel have claimed that hidden knowledge exists, evidence of UFOs, secret projects, and advanced technologies that have been kept from the public. If these claims are true, then it suggests that we may already be living under the influence of a non-human intelligence, one that has shaped our past and continues to shape our present. Of course, mainstream science rejects these ideas. The consensus is that human civilization developed naturally through gradual advancements in knowledge, trial and error, and the accumulation of technology over time. But the reality is, we do not know everything. There are gaps in our history, mysteries that remain unsolved, and strange coincidences that suggest there may be more to our origins than we currently understand. If extraterrestrials have influenced our past, then the future becomes even more uncertain. Are we destined to meet them again? Have they been waiting for us to reach a certain level of advancement before revealing themselves? Or are they still guiding us, subtly shaping the course of human civilization without us even realizing it? If we are part of an experiment, then what happens when that experiment reaches its conclusion? For now, we search. We look back through history. We analyze ancient texts. We examine the strange mysteries of our world, hoping to find answers. But as we do, we must ask ourselves, are we uncovering the truth? Or are we merely piecing together fragments of a much larger, much older, and much more carefully hidden story? If aliens have been here before, if they have shaped our history, then perhaps the biggest question is not whether they will return, but whether they ever truly left. What if everything you know, everything you have ever experienced, every sight, every sound, every touch, is not real? What if the world around you, the people you interact with, the universe itself, is nothing more than an incredibly complex illusion? The simulation hypothesis suggests exactly that. It proposes that reality, as we perceive it, is not fundamental, but instead a highly sophisticated artificial simulation, one created by a more advanced intelligence, possibly an alien civilization, or even our own distant descendants. If this theory is true, then the implications are staggering. It would mean that we are not living in a natural universe, but inside a construct, a digital or computational reality designed for an unknown purpose. And worse, it would mean that everything we think we know about existence, space, time, consciousness, could be nothing more than an illusion. The idea that reality might be an illusion is not new. Philosophers have speculated about it for centuries. Plato's allegory of the cave describes prisoners who are bound in a cave, able to see only shadows cast on the walls, believing them to be the true world. Descartes famously stated, "I think, therefore I am," as a way to assert that consciousness itself is the only certainty we can have. But modern science and technology have added a new dimension to this ancient question. As our own simulations become more advanced, as virtual reality technology improves, and as artificial intelligence grows more sophisticated, the possibility that we, too, are part of a larger simulation becomes harder to ignore. One of the most famous arguments for the simulation hypothesis comes from philosopher Nick Bostrom. In 2003, he proposed a trilemma. Either civilizations never reach the point of creating advanced simulations, civilizations choose not to create such simulations, or we are already living inside one. Bostrom argued that if a civilization ever reaches a point where it can simulate consciousness and create a virtual world indistinguishable from reality, then the number of simulated beings would vastly outnumber the number of real ones. If that is the case, then, statistically speaking, it is far more likely that we are simulated beings rather than real ones. This theory gains even more credibility when we consider the rapid advancement of technology. Video game worlds have evolved from simple pixelated graphics to hyper-realistic 3D environments, and the development of artificial intelligence has allowed for more complex, lifelike interactions. If technology continues to improve, it is only a matter of time before we are capable of creating fully immersive, lifelike simulations. If we assume that an advanced civilization somewhere in the universe has already reached this level, then there is no reason to believe that we are not inside one of their creations. But if we are living in a simulation, the next question becomes, why? What would be the purpose of such a simulation? Some theories suggest that we are part of a vast experiment. Perhaps an advanced intelligence is studying human behavior, watching how we evolve, testing how we respond to different challenges. Others propose that our reality could be a form of entertainment, that somewhere out there, beyond the boundaries of our simulated world, entities are watching us as one might watch a television show or play a game. If this is true, then our joys, our sorrows, our triumphs, and our tragedies could be nothing more than entertainment for an unseen audience. There is also the possibility that the simulation exists for a more practical purpose. Some have speculated that it could be a way for an advanced civilization to preserve consciousness beyond physical death. If a species reaches a point where its natural world is no longer sustainable, whether due to war, climate collapse, or cosmic disaster, it might choose to upload its consciousness into a simulated reality, allowing its members to live indefinitely in a world of their own design. If this is true, then the physical universe as we know it may not even exist in the way we think it does. We may be experiencing a carefully crafted illusion while our true selves exist somewhere beyond our understanding. But how would we ever know if we are in a simulation? Some scientists believe there may be ways to detect glitches or inconsistencies, errors in the fabric of reality that suggest we are inside a constructed system. Quantum mechanics, for example, presents strange phenomena that do not seem to align with classical physics. The concept of quantum superposition, in which particles exist in multiple states at once until observed, has led some to wonder whether reality behaves like a programmed simulation that only renders what is being observed. If the universe is a simulation, then it may function similarly to a video game, where details are only generated when necessary, conserving processing power by not rendering parts of the world that are not being actively viewed. Another potential clue lies in the structure of the universe itself. Some physicists have pointed out that the fundamental laws of physics appear to be written in mathematical code. The universe operates according to precise mathematical principles, as if it were programmed by an unseen intelligence. Theoretical physicist James Gates even discovered error-correcting codes embedded within the equations that describe fundamental particles. These codes are strikingly similar to those used in modern computer systems. If reality were truly natural, why would such codes exist? Then there is the eerie possibility that we are not just inside a simulation, but that we have already encountered proof of it and ignored it. Some researchers speculate that phenomena such as déjà vu, unexplained coincidences, and even paranormal experiences could be signs that we are interacting with the boundaries of our simulated world. Could glitches in reality be subtle hints that we are inside an artificial construct? Could moments of extreme synchronicity, where events align in ways that seem impossible, be evidence that something or someone is manipulating the program? But if we are in a simulation, then what happens when it ends? Would we simply cease to exist? Would our memories be erased? Or would we wake up somewhere else, in another reality, only to realize that this world was never real to begin with? If a civilization has the power to create entire simulated universes, then what stops them from running multiple simulations, testing different outcomes, and resetting the program whenever they choose? What if we have lived this life before, only to have it restarted over and over again without us ever realizing it? Of course, skeptics argue that the simulation hypothesis is just speculation. There is no definitive proof that we are living in a simulation. And some scientists believe that even if we were, there would be no way to ever prove it. But that does not mean the possibility can be dismissed entirely. As technology advances, as our understanding of artificial intelligence and virtual reality improves, the idea that we could one day create simulations indistinguishable from reality becomes more plausible. And if we will one day create them, then what is stopping the possibility that someone else already has? For now, we continue living our lives, unaware of whether our world is real or an illusion. We wake up, we go about our daily routines, we experience love, loss, and everything in between, never truly knowing whether any of it is real. But as we move forward, as our own technology advances toward the creation of artificial realities, we must ask ourselves, if we are capable of creating simulations, what makes us think that we are not already inside one? If reality is an illusion, then the truth is hidden beyond the boundaries of our perception. And the most terrifying question of all may not be whether we are in a simulation, but whether we will ever find out. For as long as we have imagined extraterrestrial life, we have assumed that their existence would somehow revolve around us, that they would either be our destroyers or our saviors, invaders or allies. But what if the truth is something far worse? What if the universe is not empty, not silent, not waiting to be discovered, but instead completely indifferent to us? What if alien civilizations, if they exist, do not care about humanity at all? What if we are so insignificant in the grand scale of cosmic intelligence that we are beneath notice, less than ants to a species so vast, so advanced, that our very existence is irrelevant? This is the horror that H.P. Lovecraft wrote about nearly a century ago. The existential terror that comes not from hostile aliens seeking conquest, but from beings so far beyond us that they cannot even comprehend us, let alone acknowledge our existence. Lovecraft's stories often explored the idea that the universe is not made for us, that it is ruled by ancient, unknowable forces that exist on scales we cannot fathom. He wrote of godlike entities, vast, eldritch intelligences that had existed for eons before humanity, and would continue long after we were gone. These beings did not hate us, they did not love us, they simply did not care. They were not evil in the way that we understand evil, nor were they benevolent. To them, humanity was as insignificant as bacteria. And this, perhaps, is the most terrifying possibility of all when we consider the existence of extraterrestrial life. Not that they are coming to invade us, but that they will never come at all. Because to them, we are not even worth noticing. This idea that aliens could exist on such an advanced level that they simply do not acknowledge us has deep roots in modern science. If a civilization is millions or even billions of years ahead of us, then their understanding of the universe would be so advanced that our existence might not even register as meaningful data. Just as humans do not waste time trying to communicate with insects, an advanced extraterrestrial intelligence may have no reason to reach out to a species as primitive as ours. We might assume that any intelligent civilization would naturally seek to explore the galaxy, to colonize new worlds, to spread its influence, just as humans have done on Earth. But that assumption is based on our own limited perspective. A truly ancient, hyper-advanced species might not need to expand, might not need planets, might not even operate under biological imperatives that we recognize. If they exist, they could be so different from us that our entire concept of intelligence, of civilization, of life itself, does not apply to them. Some scientists speculate that sufficiently advanced civilizations might have already left behind material existence altogether. They could have uploaded their consciousness into vast artificial networks, existing purely as information, no longer needing planets or spaceships or physical bodies. If that is the case, then the reason we do not see evidence of them is simple. They are not interacting with the physical universe anymore. They have moved beyond it, beyond the constraints of time and space as we understand them, beyond anything we could ever detect or comprehend. They are not hiding from us. They are simply existing on a plane of reality that is beyond our reach. There is also the possibility that intelligence does not necessarily lead to curiosity. We assume that a civilization capable of interstellar travel would want to explore, would want to make contact, would want to expand. But what if they do not? What if the very nature of intelligence, when it reaches a certain point, leads to withdrawal rather than expansion? A species that has solved all of its problems, conquered its mortality, and eliminated all struggle might have no interest in the chaotic, unpredictable nature of an expanding universe. Instead of reaching out, they might choose to remain in isolation, existing in perfect harmony within their own self-contained worlds, never needing or wanting to interact with anything beyond themselves. Another horrifying possibility is that if these beings are aware of us, they may see us as nothing more than a minor curiosity. They may study us in the same way that we observe bacteria under a microscope, occasionally analyzing us for scientific interest, but never feeling any moral or ethical obligation to intervene in our struggles. If this is the case, then the idea that we are alone in the universe is not just wrong. It is irrelevant. We are not alone. We are simply unnoticed. But there is an even darker interpretation of this idea. What if we are not unnoticed, but simply beneath consideration? What if there are entities out there that are so advanced, so powerful, so alien in their thinking that they are completely indifferent to our fate? What if they see planets as mere raw material, civilizations as momentary sparks in the endless flow of time, and the rise and fall of species as nothing more than background noise? If such beings exist, then the fate of humanity may not be in our hands at all. We may be nothing more than an imperceptible flicker in their grand cosmic perspective, something that will come and go without them ever paying attention. The implications of this are terrifying. It would mean that there is no grand plan, no higher purpose, no benevolent overseer, ensuring that we continue to thrive. The universe is not a place of wonder and meaning, but a vast, uncaring expanse where we exist for a brief moment before vanishing without consequence. It would mean that ultimately, nothing we do matters on a cosmic scale. That all of our achievements, our struggles, our hopes, and our fears are insignificant compared to the incomprehensible vastness of time and space. But perhaps there is a small comfort in this idea. If the universe is indifferent to us, then it means we are free. Free to define our own purpose, to shape our own destiny, to create meaning in a world where none is given to us. If we are truly alone, if there are no gods, no overseers, no ancient beings watching from the void, then the responsibility of shaping the future is ours alone. The vast indifference of the cosmos may be terrifying, but it may also be liberating. For now, we continue to search the stars, hoping for an answer, longing for a sign that we are not alone. But as we listen to the silence, we must consider the possibility that no one will ever answer. Not because there is no one out there, but because we are simply too small, too fleeting, too insignificant to warrant their attention. Perhaps we are not alone in the universe, but perhaps, to those who truly rule it, we might as well be. When people imagine an alien invasion, they often picture massive ships descending from the sky, cities in ruins, and extraterrestrial conquerors marching through the streets. But what if the invasion has already happened? What if we are not waiting for first contact, because first contact was made long ago? And what if, instead of a violent takeover, alien control is something much more subtle, something hidden in plain sight, something we have been living under without even realizing it? The idea that humanity is already under alien control is not as far-fetched as it sounds. It is based on the unsettling notion that if an advanced extraterrestrial intelligence wanted to dominate Earth, it would not do so through brute force. It would not need to. Instead, it could manipulate us from behind the scenes, guiding our development, shaping our societies, influencing our decisions, all while remaining unseen. If a civilization is technologically advanced enough to travel between the stars, then controlling a species like ours would not require war. It would only require patience, strategy, and a deep understanding of how we think. Some theories suggest that alien control could be psychological rather than physical. Imagine a species capable of manipulating thoughts, subtly influencing human leaders, or steering the course of history without anyone ever suspecting. This could be done through advanced forms of mind control, or even through technology so sophisticated that it appears to us as magic. If an alien intelligence had the ability to implant ideas into our minds, to shape the way we perceive reality itself, then they would not need to land ships on Earth or announce their presence. They would already be in control without ever revealing themselves. Others propose that extraterrestrials may have infiltrated human civilization in more direct ways. Some conspiracy theories claim that world governments have been in contact with alien entities for decades, possibly even longer. These theories suggest that secret deals have been made, allowing extraterrestrials to operate in hidden bases, possibly even underground or beneath the ocean. There have been countless reports of unidentified aerial phenomena, craft moving in ways that defy physics, sightings by military pilots, unexplained encounters that have left scientists baffled. Some believe that these sightings are not just random events, but evidence of an ongoing extraterrestrial presence, one that is being carefully managed and covered up. If alien beings are influencing our world, the next question becomes, what do they want? Some theorists believe that their motives could be purely observational. Perhaps they are studying us, watching how we evolve, how we handle crises, how we respond to external challenges. This would make Earth nothing more than a vast laboratory with every major event, every war, every disaster, every scientific breakthrough serving as a data point in their analysis. If this is true, then humanity is not in control of its own fate. We are being watched, tested, and possibly even manipulated to see how we react. But there is a darker possibility. What if alien control is not just observational, but active? What if they are shaping the course of human history for their own benefit? Some believe that extraterrestrials could be subtly steering humanity toward a specific goal, one that serves their interests rather than ours. If this is the case, then the wars we fight, the technologies we develop, and even the conflicts that divide us may not be entirely our own. They may be the result of unseen forces guiding us toward an outcome we do not yet understand. One particularly chilling theory is that humanity is being prepared for something. Some believe that the increasing presence of UFO sightings, government disclosures, and public interest in extraterrestrial life is not a coincidence, but a deliberate effort to acclimate us to the idea of alien existence. If this is true, then the question is not whether aliens will one day reveal themselves, but rather when they will decide that we are ready to know the truth. There is also the possibility that we are being used as a resource. If extraterrestrials are truly in control, then what is it that they gain from us? Some suggest that Earth itself is valuable, either for its natural resources, for biological material, or even for something more abstract, like energy or consciousness. Some fringe theories propose that human emotions, particularly fear and suffering, could be harvested in ways we do not yet understand. If an advanced species exists beyond our comprehension, then their motives may be equally incomprehensible. Another eerie thought is that we may not be the first civilization to be controlled. What if this has happened before? What if Earth is just one in a long line of planets that have fallen under the influence of an unseen force? If extraterrestrials have been guiding our development, then it stands to reason that they have done the same elsewhere. Could other civilizations, now extinct, have once followed the same path we are on? And if so, what happened to them? Were they discarded once they were no longer useful? Or did they simply reach the point where they learned too much? Of course, there are skeptics who dismiss these ideas as paranoia or science fiction. Mainstream scientists argue that there is no definitive proof of extraterrestrial involvement in human affairs, no undeniable evidence that we are being controlled. But absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. If a species is truly advanced enough to manipulate us, then they would be capable of covering their tracks, of remaining hidden while still exerting influence. If they did not want to be detected, then they wouldn't be. Perhaps the most disturbing aspect of this theory is that if it is true, then we may never know. If an intelligence exists that is capable of shaping our perceptions, of controlling what we believe to be real, then even the idea of questioning our reality could be part of their design. If they wanted to keep us unaware, then they could ensure that every attempt to expose them is dismissed, ridiculed, or forgotten. And if that is the case, then humanity is not just controlled. We are trapped. For now, we continue searching the skies, looking for signs of extraterrestrial life, waiting for the day when contact is made. But what if that day has already come and gone? What if we are not waiting for an alien presence to arrive, but instead we are living under it? What if we are the last to know that we have never been free? The truth may be out there, but if we are truly under alien control, then we may never be allowed to find it. For most of human history, we have believed that we understand our place in the universe. We have built religions, philosophies, and scientific theories to explain our existence, to give meaning to the vastness of space, to reassure ourselves that we are important. But what happens when that understanding is shattered? What happens if we discover that everything we thought we knew was wrong? The theories we have explored, ranging from alien civilizations hiding in the shadows to ancient extraterrestrials shaping human history, to the possibility that we are living in a simulation, have the power to fundamentally alter our perception of reality. If any of them turn out to be true, then our entire worldview would have to change. And the consequences of that revelation could be more profound than we can imagine. One of the most immediate effects would be the collapse of our sense of uniqueness. Humanity has long believed that it is special, that we are the pinnacle of intelligence, the masters of our own destiny. But if we were to learn that we are not alone, that we have never been alone, that more advanced beings have been watching us, influencing us, or even controlling us, then we would have to confront the reality that we are not at the center of the universe. We are not the most advanced species. We are not the rulers of our world. We are, at best, one among many. At worst, we are insignificant. This realization could lead to a psychological crisis on a global scale. Many of the structures that hold human society together, our political systems, our religious beliefs, our sense of history, are based on the assumption that we are in control of our own fate. But if we were to learn that our history was shaped by an unseen force, that our leaders have been manipulated, that our perception of reality has been influenced without our knowledge, then what happens next? Do people lose faith in their governments, their institutions? Do they reject everything they once believed? Or do they simply descend into chaos, unable to process the enormity of the revelation? History has shown that when long-standing beliefs are challenged by new discoveries, humanity often reacts with resistance, skepticism, and even outright hostility. Take, for example, Nicholas Copernicus and the heliocentric model of the solar system. Before the 16th century, nearly everyone in the Western world believed in the geocentric model, the idea that Earth was the center of the universe, and that the sun, planets, and stars revolved around us. This view was deeply ingrained not only in scientific thought, but also in religious doctrine. The Catholic Church, in particular, had long held that Earth was the focal point of God's creation, making humans the most important beings in existence. But Copernicus challenged this idea. In 1543, he published De Revolutionibus Orbium Coelestium, arguing that the sun, not the Earth, was at the center of the known universe, and that our planet was just one of several orbiting bodies. The implications of this idea were enormous. If Earth was not the center of everything, then humanity's perceived significance was called into question. The idea that we were just another planet in a vast cosmos filled with countless other celestial bodies was deeply unsettling. The Church rejected Copernicus's model, and later Galileo Galilei, who supported the heliocentric theory with telescopic observations, was persecuted and forced to recant his findings under threat of imprisonment. The heliocentric model was seen not as a scientific revelation, but as a dangerous threat to the established order. A similar controversy arose in the 19th century with Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. Prior to Darwin's work, most people believed that all species, including humans, had been created in their current forms by a divine being. The idea that life evolved gradually over millions of years, that humans shared a common ancestor with other primates, was unthinkable. When Darwin published On the Origin of Species in 1859, it sent shockwaves through both the scientific community and the general public. His theory suggested that life was not static, that species changed over time through natural selection, and that humanity itself was not separate from the natural order, but a part of it. The reaction was intense. Religious groups denounced Darwin's ideas as heretical, and even some scientists were reluctant to accept a theory that removed the need for divine intervention in the development of life. Today, evolution is widely accepted in the scientific community, but the resistance to it persists in many parts of the world, where it is still seen as a challenge to deeply held religious and philosophical beliefs. These historical examples show that when human self-importance is challenged, when we are forced to confront the possibility that we are not the center of everything, our initial reaction is often one of denial and resistance. If humanity struggled to accept that the Earth is not the center of the universe, or that we are not separate from the rest of the animal kingdom, then imagine how much greater the shock would be if we were to learn that we are not even the most intelligent beings in the universe. Imagine the existential crisis that would follow if we discovered that our history has been shaped by extraterrestrial forces, or that our entire reality is a simulation created for reasons beyond our comprehension. There is also the question of existential dread. If we were to confirm that alien civilizations exist, especially ones that are far more advanced than us, then we would have to confront the unsettling question: what does that mean for humanity's future? If extraterrestrials are watching us, do they have an agenda? Are they benevolent or indifferent? If the dark forest theory is true, and civilizations remain hidden out of fear, then does that mean we are in danger? Have we already revealed too much? And if we are living in a simulation, then what does that say about free will? If our lives are nothing more than lines of code in a vast artificial system, does anything we do truly matter? Some might see these revelations as liberating rather than terrifying. If we are part of a larger cosmic reality, then that means we are no longer alone. It means that the mysteries of the universe are not just empty voids, but doors waiting to be opened. If we learn that ancient aliens have influenced our development, then we may gain knowledge that allows us to unlock the secrets of advanced technology, to expand beyond our current limitations, to evolve in ways we never imagined. If we confirm that the universe is teeming with life, then humanity might finally unite, putting aside petty conflicts and divisions to focus on something greater, our place in the cosmos. But are we ready for such a change? Throughout history, paradigm shifts have come with great turmoil. If humanity struggled to accept the idea that Earth orbits the Sun, or that we evolved from simpler life forms, then how much greater will the resistance be when we are confronted with the reality that we are not alone? That we are not in control, that we are not even the most intelligent beings in existence? Perhaps the greatest change would come from within us. If these theories are true, then humanity may finally be forced to confront the idea that we are part of something much larger than ourselves. It may force us to abandon old divisions, to rethink our priorities, to strive for something beyond our current limitations. And perhaps that is the true test. If we are being watched, if we are being guided, then maybe the real question is not whether we will find the truth, but whether we will be ready for it when we do. For now we continue searching, wondering, questioning. But as we look to the stars, we must also look inward. Because if the answers we seek are out there, waiting for us to find them, then the greatest mystery may not be whether aliens exist, or whether we are in a simulation, or whether we are being controlled. The greatest mystery may be whether we are ready to know the truth at all. For centuries, humanity has looked to the stars and wondered if we are alone. We have crafted myths, written stories, and speculated endlessly about the possibility of extraterrestrial life. But what if the answer finally came? What if we woke up one day and the world was different? Not because of war, not because of a disaster, but because we had undeniable proof that we are not alone. What would that do to us? How would we react? The psychological effects of such a revelation could be more profound than any other event in human history. It could unify us, or it could break us. It could elevate human consciousness to new heights, or it could plunge us into existential despair. For some, the discovery of extraterrestrial life would be exhilarating. It would confirm what many have long suspected, that life exists beyond Earth, that the universe is filled with possibilities, that we are part of something far greater than we ever imagined. It could inspire a new age of exploration, of science, of cooperation. If we knew for certain that intelligent life was out there, we might set aside our petty conflicts and work together as a species to prepare for contact, to expand our understanding, to reach beyond our own limitations. It could be a moment of enlightenment, a realization that we are not the masters of the universe, but a small part of a much grander reality. But not everyone would react with excitement. For many, the realization that we are not alone would be terrifying. It would force us to confront our place in the cosmos in a way we never have before. For centuries, we have built belief systems that place humanity at the center of existence. Whether through religion, philosophy, or simple human arrogance, we have told ourselves that we are special, that Earth is unique, that we are the chosen ones. But what if that illusion were shattered? What if we discovered that we are not the first, not the most advanced, not even particularly important in the grand scheme of the universe? How many people would be able to handle that truth? History has shown that major paradigm shifts often lead to fear and resistance. When Copernicus proposed that Earth was not the center of the universe, it was met with outrage. The idea that we were just another planet orbiting a star was too much for many to accept. When Darwin introduced the theory of evolution, it was seen as a direct attack on human exceptionalism. It suggested that we were not created separately from the rest of nature, but were instead a product of the same evolutionary forces that shaped all life on Earth. These ideas were met with denial, with anger, with efforts to suppress them, and yet they were eventually accepted, not without struggle, but accepted nonetheless. If learning that we are not the center of the universe was difficult, imagine how much harder it would be to learn that we are not the most intelligent beings in existence, that there are civilizations out there that surpass us in knowledge, in power, in ability, that everything we have ever built, every scientific breakthrough, every philosophical realization, every technological advancement, none of it is unique. None of it is new. That out there, beyond the stars, there are beings who have already done it all before. How would we cope with that? Some psychologists believe that the confirmation of extraterrestrial life could trigger an existential crisis on a massive scale. People might struggle to find meaning in their lives, questioning their purpose in a universe that suddenly feels much larger and more indifferent. The fear of the unknown, the inability to predict what these beings might want, the sudden loss of our place as the dominant intelligence, all of these factors could lead to widespread anxiety, depression, and even societal collapse. There is a reason why governments have historically been hesitant to disclose information about UFOs or other unexplained phenomena. They know that for many, the psychological impact of such knowledge would be too great. Religious beliefs would also be deeply affected. Most of the world's major religions are built on the idea that humanity is central to existence, that we are special in the eyes of a higher power. If we were to confirm that intelligent extraterrestrials exist, some religious followers might attempt to incorporate that knowledge into their beliefs, seeing aliens as part of God's grand design. But others might reject the revelation outright, refusing to accept a reality that contradicts their faith. Religious leaders might struggle to interpret what alien life means for humanity's spiritual journey. Were they also created by the same divine being? Do they have their own religions? Do they share our concepts of morality, of good and evil? Or are we simply one of many species, none of us more chosen than the others? Another disturbing possibility is the fear of what alien intelligence might mean for human safety. If we confirm that extraterrestrials exist, we would immediately have to ask, are they friendly? Are they watching us? Have they already been here? Even if they showed no signs of hostility, the fear of the unknown could lead to paranoia. People might believe that governments are hiding the truth, that aliens are manipulating world events, that we are no longer in control of our own destiny. Conspiracy theories would multiply, some claiming that extraterrestrials are our allies, others insisting that they are already ruling us in secret. There is also the issue of how different cultures and societies would respond. Not everyone reacts to new information the same way. Some nations might embrace the knowledge and push for contact, while others might see it as a threat. Extremist groups could emerge, either worshipping aliens as gods or seeing them as demons to be feared. Some might believe that extraterrestrials are here to bring salvation, others that they are here to destroy us. And all of this could happen without a single alien even setting foot on Earth. Just the knowledge that they exist could be enough to change everything. Science itself would be transformed. If we learned that other civilizations exist, we would have to ask, how advanced are they? Do they possess technologies beyond our comprehension? Have they solved the mysteries of the universe that we still struggle with? Could they teach us, or would they see no reason to? Would we finally gain answers to the deepest questions of existence? Or would we be left in even greater uncertainty? If aliens exist, then what else is possible? Could they manipulate space and time? Could they transcend death? Could they exist in ways that we cannot even perceive? Perhaps the most unsettling thought is that if extraterrestrials exist, then they already know about us. We are the newcomers, the species just beginning to reach beyond its own world, the civilization still learning how to walk on a cosmic scale. If aliens are out there, they have been out there for far longer than we have. They may have watched us evolve, watched us build, watched us wonder about them without ever answering. If they have chosen not to contact us, then we must ask why. Do they see us as primitive, dangerous, unworthy, or do they simply not care? In the end, the realization that we are not alone could be the most profound moment in human history. It could unite us, or it could divide us. It could push us to reach for the stars, or it could trap us in fear. It could make us question everything, or it could open the door to answers we never thought possible. For now, we search. We send out signals. We scan the sky. We listen for something. Anything that might tell us we are not alone. But if that signal ever comes, if the truth is ever revealed, we must ask ourselves, are we truly ready for what comes next? Because once we know the truth, there is no turning back. For decades, the idea of alien contact has been treated as science fiction, as a distant possibility, or as a conspiracy theory. But what if that contact suddenly became real? How would the most powerful nations on Earth react? Would they embrace this new reality with transparency and cooperation, or would they attempt to suppress, control, and weaponize the knowledge? The revelation of extraterrestrial life, whether through direct contact or undeniable proof, would not just change human perception. It would shift global power in ways we cannot yet predict. Governments, intelligence agencies, and military forces would be forced to act, and their decisions could determine whether humanity moves forward together or fractures in fear and secrecy. The first and most immediate reaction would likely be secrecy and damage control. If world governments became aware of alien contact, especially before the general public, their first instinct would not be to announce it, but to assess the situation behind closed doors. This is not speculation. It is historical precedent. Throughout the 20th and 21st centuries, declassified government documents have revealed that agencies like the CIA, NSA, and various military organizations have long investigated unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, with extreme caution. The Pentagon's acknowledgement of UFO sightings, once dismissed as fantasy, is proof that governments take these matters seriously. If contact were confirmed, high-level officials would likely meet in secret, strategizing on how to manage the flow of information while analyzing the potential risks. One of the most pressing concerns would be national security. If an extraterrestrial presence were detected, governments would immediately ask, is it a threat? Does it have superior technology? If so, how do we defend ourselves? Military forces around the world would be put on high alert, scrambling to understand the nature of this newfound intelligence. There would be fears of surveillance, of unknown technology that could overpower human defenses, and of the possibility that extraterrestrials are not here as peaceful observers, but as silent conquerors. Even if the aliens showed no hostility, the simple fact that they exist and are more advanced than us would create widespread paranoia among the most powerful nations on Earth. Beyond security, the race for technological advantage would begin almost immediately. If extraterrestrial intelligence has reached Earth, or if we find evidence of their presence in space, governments would rush to gain access to their technology. The first country to reverse engineer alien technology could gain an unimaginable advantage over the rest of the world. The potential breakthroughs in energy, transportation, medicine, and even artificial intelligence could shift the balance of power overnight. Some scientists believe that the rapid advancement of modern technology, especially in military aerospace engineering, may already have been influenced by the study of unidentified flying objects. If this is true, then the control of alien knowledge may already be a geopolitical reality. This raises an unsettling question. Would governments even tell the public? Some believe that if undeniable proof of extraterrestrial life were found, it would be covered up indefinitely. After all, keeping control of this knowledge means keeping control of the future. If a world government held evidence that could either unite humanity or destabilize it, would they take the risk of mass hysteria? Historically, when major discoveries have been made, whether scientific, political, or military, those in power have often chosen to restrict access to information until it serves their interests. If we discovered that an extraterrestrial presence had been on Earth for decades, even centuries, would governments disclose the truth? Or would they bury it, fearing that the consequences of revelation would be too unpredictable? Another factor to consider is how different countries would react to one another. Would nations work together to understand alien intelligence, or would they compete, fearing that another superpower might gain the upper hand? History suggests that cooperation is unlikely. During the Cold War, the United States and the Soviet Union both reportedly investigated UFO sightings, not just out of curiosity, but out of fear that the other side had acquired unknown technology. Even today, world powers are locked in a technological arms race, each trying to outmatch the other in fields like artificial intelligence, cyber warfare, and space exploration. If extraterrestrial contact became a reality, it could just as easily spark conflict over control rather than unity. But what if the extraterrestrials themselves were the ones dictating the rules of engagement? If an advanced intelligence made contact, how governments reacted would depend largely on the nature of that interaction. If the contact was peaceful and controlled, with extraterrestrials choosing how and when to communicate, then governments might have little choice but to comply. But if the contact was uncontrolled, such as the sudden discovery of alien ruins, signals, or even a crashed spacecraft, then the race to control information would escalate into full-scale political maneuvering. Then there is the issue of public reaction. Even if governments initially withheld the truth, it is likely that word would eventually spread. If proof of extraterrestrial life became public knowledge, whether through a leaked document, an undeniable event, or the aliens themselves revealing their presence, how would governments handle mass panic? In past crises, we have seen how fragile human society can be when faced with sudden uncertainty. Economic markets crash. Riots break out. People lose trust in their leaders. The revelation of an advanced extraterrestrial civilization could trigger similar effects, leading to global instability. Governments would have to prepare for this, possibly implementing emergency measures to maintain order. Some countries might take a spiritual or philosophical approach, incorporating alien intelligence into their cultural narratives. Others might take a militaristic approach, seeing extraterrestrials as a potential threat that must be defended against at all costs. Still, others might use the revelation as a tool for political control, justifying extreme measures in the name of planetary defense or security. The role of international organizations would also be crucial. Would the United Nations take control of alien diplomacy, ensuring that contact is handled on behalf of all humanity? Or would individual countries act independently, seeking their own advantage at the cost of global cooperation? If governments struggle to cooperate on climate change and nuclear disarmament, what makes us think they would work together on something as monumental as extraterrestrial contact? One final, disturbing possibility is that governments are already reacting to alien contact, that they have been for decades. If we assume that certain military and intelligence agencies have long been aware of extraterrestrial presence, then much of what we see in today's world, military buildups, secrecy, unexplained aerial phenomena, could be part of an ongoing, hidden struggle to control that knowledge. If this is true, then the world's most powerful nations may already be engaged in a secret race to harness extraterrestrial technology, preparing for a future that the general public is not yet aware of. In the end, how governments react to alien contact will depend on one key factor: whether they see it as an opportunity or a threat. If they choose secrecy and control, then humanity's future may be dictated by a select few, with the rest of us left in the dark. If they choose cooperation and transparency, then we may be standing on the edge of a new era, one where we finally understand our place in the cosmos. For now, the world waits. We listen to the stars, we scan the skies, we wonder what is out there. But if the answer comes, if the truth is revealed, then the greatest challenge may not be the aliens themselves. The greatest challenge may be how we, as a species, choose to respond. If we were to confirm that humanity is not alone in the universe, our future would change in ways we can barely begin to comprehend. The knowledge that intelligent extraterrestrial life exists or has existed would force us to rethink everything we know about science, philosophy, politics, and even our own identity as a species. It would open up possibilities that once seemed like pure fantasy, and at the same time introduce existential risks that we have never faced before. The revelation would not just be about them, it would be about us. How we respond to this new reality could determine whether humanity thrives in a new cosmic era or collapses under the weight of uncertainty. One of the most profound changes would come in our technological advancement. If we discovered evidence of alien civilizations, especially ones more advanced than us, it could trigger a technological renaissance. The mere confirmation that interstellar travel is possible, that someone else has done it, would push our scientific efforts into overdrive. We would no longer ask if faster-than-light travel or quantum communication is possible. We would know that it is, and we would dedicate ourselves to figuring out how. Even if we did not have direct access to extraterrestrial technology, the confirmation of their existence would shatter previous limitations on human innovation. Just as the space race of the 20th century led to an explosion of scientific progress, the realization that we are not alone could spark a new era of discovery and engineering. But with that progress comes ethical dilemmas. How much of our research would be driven by curiosity, and how much by fear? Would we push for advancements in peaceful exploration, or would we prioritize military technology to defend ourselves against an unknown threat? Throughout history, major scientific breakthroughs, nuclear energy, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, have been shaped by both ambition and fear. If we learn that a civilization far more powerful than us exists, our first instinct may not be to reach out, but to prepare for the worst. We may enter an era of unprecedented technological expansion, but it may be motivated by paranoia rather than a desire for connection. Another transformation would occur in human identity and culture. Every civilization that has ever existed has built its understanding of the world on the assumption that humans are the most intelligent beings in existence. Religion, philosophy, and even the foundations of our laws and morals have been centered around the belief that humanity is unique, that we are special. If that belief is challenged, if we learn that there are beings out there who have been exploring the cosmos while we were still living in caves, then our entire sense of identity could be thrown into chaos. Some people might see this as a humbling realization, embracing the idea that we are part of a much larger cosmic family. Others might struggle to accept it, clinging to the idea that human exceptionalism still holds true, even in the face of overwhelming evidence. There may even be efforts to deny or reject the reality of extraterrestrial existence, just as there were those who refused to accept the heliocentric model or the theory of evolution when they were first introduced. Religion, in particular, would be forced to adapt in ways it never has before. Would we reinterpret ancient texts to account for the existence of alien life? Would new spiritual beliefs emerge, centered around the idea that extraterrestrials have a divine connection to humanity? Or would religious institutions resist this revelation, seeing it as a challenge to long-held doctrines? Some religious leaders have speculated that contact with extraterrestrials would not necessarily contradict faith, but expand it. But others may struggle with the implications. If humanity is not the only intelligent creation in the universe, what does that mean for the idea of a chosen species, for the concept of an afterlife, for the role of divine intervention in human history? There is also the question of political power. If the existence of alien civilizations is confirmed, would world governments work together, or would they compete for dominance? If extraterrestrial technology became available, how would it be distributed? Would a single nation or corporation control it, gaining unimaginable power over the rest of the world? Or would it lead to a global effort to unite and share knowledge for the benefit of all? History suggests that competition and secrecy often prevail over cooperation. But if we were faced with undeniable proof that we are not alone, we might be forced to rethink our divisions. But what if alien life is not just out there, but already interacting with us in ways we do not understand? The discovery of extraterrestrial intelligence would force us to re-examine not just the future, but the past. If advanced beings have been visiting Earth for centuries, or even longer, then everything we think we know about our own history could be wrong. Were ancient myths and legends actually distorted accounts of contact with extraterrestrials? Have governments or secret organizations been aware of this presence and kept it hidden? If so, why? One of the biggest shifts in our future would be the push for space expansion and colonization. The confirmation of extraterrestrial life would change the way we see our own survival. For decades, space exploration has been seen as an option, a challenge for scientists and astronauts, a curiosity for the general public. But if we knew for certain that other civilizations exist, space travel would no longer be a choice. It would become a necessity. Humanity has already begun the process of expanding beyond Earth. Space agencies like NASA, the European Space Agency, and private companies like SpaceX have set their sights on Mars as the next great frontier. But progress has been slow, hindered by funding, technology, and political priorities. A confirmed extraterrestrial presence could change that overnight. If we knew that intelligent beings were out there, we would have no choice but to accelerate our efforts to leave Earth. Colonizing Mars, establishing permanent bases on the Moon, expanding into the asteroid belt. These would no longer be long-term dreams, but urgent goals. Mars is already considered the most viable location for humanity's first off-world settlement. The planet has water ice, an atmosphere, albeit thin, and the potential for underground habitats that could protect future settlers from radiation. But the obstacles remain immense. Surviving on Mars would require overcoming extreme temperatures, deadly radiation exposure, and the difficulty of growing food in an alien environment. If we discovered intelligent extraterrestrials, however, these challenges might suddenly seem less daunting. The incentive to colonize Mars would not just be scientific curiosity, but strategic survival. If we are not alone, then Earth cannot remain our only home. The push for self-sustaining off-world colonies would become a top priority. We would invest heavily in terraforming Mars, turning it into a planet capable of supporting human life. We would experiment with closed-loop life support systems, developing the ability to sustain human populations in deep space. Eventually, our focus would expand beyond Mars to the asteroid belt, to the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, and even further. But there is another, even more unsettling reason why space colonization might become urgent: defensive positioning. If the dark forest theory is correct, if civilizations hide out of fear of being destroyed, then Earth is vulnerable. Our presence has already been revealed by radio signals and spacecraft leaving our solar system. If extraterrestrial civilizations operate on a principle of eliminate potential threats before they arise, then we may need to spread out just to ensure our survival. A multiplanetary civilization is far harder to wipe out than one confined to a single world. In the end, the confirmation that we are not alone would ignite a new era of human ambition, one where survival, exploration, and expansion become our defining priorities. For now, we search, we listen, we wonder. But if we ever find the answer, if we ever learn that we are not alone, then the greatest question will not be about them. It will be about us. What kind of future will we choose when we finally know the truth? There is also the question of survival. If the universe is teeming with life, then logic dictates that some of that life might not be friendly. While we often imagine alien civilizations as either benevolent explorers or conquerors, the reality is likely far more complex. Some civilizations may be peaceful and cooperative, while others may be hostile, territorial, or indifferent to human existence. If we are not alone, we must consider the possibility that the universe is not just a place of discovery, but also one of competition and danger. How would humanity prepare for potential threats? And how would we ensure our survival in a universe that may not always be welcoming? The nature of our response to this new reality would determine whether we thrive or perish in a universe full of life. If we approach contact with humility, curiosity, and caution, we may be able to learn from civilizations far older and wiser than us, gaining knowledge that could transform our world. But if we react with fear, aggression, or arrogance, we risk drawing the wrong kind of attention, positioning ourselves as a reckless species that is not yet ready to take its place among the stars. Beyond politics and security, the discovery of intelligent extraterrestrial life would also change us on a fundamental level. Our religions, philosophies, and cultural narratives would be forced to evolve. Many belief systems are built around the idea of human exceptionalism. But if we are one of many civilizations, what does that mean for our spiritual and existential significance? Would new religions emerge, centering around the idea of cosmic unity and interconnectedness? Would older religions adapt, incorporating extraterrestrial intelligence into their frameworks? Or would we see a spiritual crisis as people struggle to reconcile their beliefs with the undeniable truth that we are not alone? Scientifically, the discovery of extraterrestrial life would be the most profound breakthrough in human history. It would answer some of our deepest questions. Are we unique? Are the laws of physics universal? Can civilizations transcend their own limitations, or are they doomed to self-destruction? If we encounter species that have survived for millions or even billions of years, we might finally learn whether it is possible for intelligent life to escape the cycle of war, resource depletion, and planetary destruction. The knowledge they could share with us might include new forms of energy, cures for diseases, insights into consciousness, and even methods for traveling between stars. But with this knowledge would come responsibility. If we gain access to advanced technology, how do we ensure that it is used wisely? Would humanity use interstellar knowledge to uplift and protect our species? Or would we repeat the mistakes of our past, using it for greed, power, and control? The potential for human expansion into the galaxy would also come into question. If the universe is full of life, should we seek to explore, integrate, and learn? Or should we tread carefully, understanding that we are newcomers in an ancient and complex system? If we one day develop the ability to colonize other planets, would we do so ethically? Or would we treat new worlds the way we have treated our own, as resources to be exploited? Would we become galactic explorers, diplomats, or conquerors? The future of humanity in a universe full of life depends on how we choose to evolve. If we cling to old divisions, old fears, and old ways of thinking, we may find ourselves unprepared for what lies ahead. But if we embrace the unknown with curiosity, adaptability, and a willingness to change, we may step into a new era of existence, one where our species is no longer limited to a single planet, but part of something far greater. If intelligent civilizations are out there, they may be watching us even now, waiting to see how we develop, how we respond to challenges, and whether we are capable of joining them among the stars. Will we prove ourselves worthy of that future? Or will we remain trapped in our own limitations, too afraid or too divided to take the next step? The answer will determine whether humanity fades into obscurity or rises to become a force in the universe. The future is unwritten, but one thing is certain: if we are not alone, then our journey has only just begun.